One of the questions that we frequently hear is it important to have a quiet time in the morning? Can't I do it sometime later in the day? Well, of course you can. The main thing is that you have intentional time in which you set aside everything and get alone with God, whatever works well with you. But I do want you to think about something. When Jesus said in Matthew 6, he was about to give the Lord's Prayer, the Our Father, as an example of a pattern for our prayer lives. He said, every day go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who's unseen. And your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. Well, he said that right before he gave them the Lord's Prayer. And in the Lord's Prayer, what does he say? Give us today our daily bread. Now, it seems to me that if we're going to pray and ask today for our daily bread, it's the best thing to do it early in the day rather than at night before we go to bed. We are to pray every day for daily bread. The other thing that I want you to consider is that when we give God something, for instance, in our tithing, he says we should give him the first fruits. We should give him the best of what we're giving him. And for many of us, the best time is the time in the morning, because that's the time when we can be uninterrupted. I can't tell you how many times I have thought, I'll just wait, and later in the day I'll have more time and I can spend time with God, and the day just gets away from me. So you have to be very intentional about it. You have to be very disciplined about it if you're not going to set a time early in the morning, or likely it's going to get away from you as well. We've heard people say very many different things. I remember one man who told us that he would go to work, and on his way to work he stopped in a certain parking lot under a shady tree, and that's where he would have his quiet time for 30 minutes before he went on to the office. Sometimes businessmen will go early and they will close their office door, and that's where they'll have their quiet time. A lot of young mothers with kids will wait till the kids go off to school, and that's where they'll have their quiet time. And that's okay. The important thing is that you have that time intentionally every day. And let me say something else about that. It doesn't have to be half an hour. It doesn't have to be any length of time. If you will give God the first moments of your day, if you will come to him and acknowledge what a joy it is to be his child, if you will worship him with just a few phrases, worshiping him for who he is and how much he means to you, if you'll spend just a moment asking him to search your conscience and make sure you have no unconfessed sins, if you give him your life in an attitude of surrender, that doesn't take 5 minutes. And if you will do that at the beginning of every day, I promise you, he will show you how to find the time you need to draw closer to him.